What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back here for some more content for you guys. What we're going to be looking at today is a loan report. We've got, well, it's actually more than 11 players, but we picked out 11 players because officially Ivan Perisic and Eric Dyer are considered as loan players at the moment, but Ivan Perisic hasn't played, obviously, because of his massive injury, and Eric Dyer has confirmed his move, apparently, to Bayern Munich for another season. Talk about stealing a living, eh?
Not bad. I was watching highlights of his on the weekend of against Freiburg. He was just getting rinsed I was like, I can't believe they've made this permanent. Like, he's getting absolutely rinsed at the back, so I'm very, very surprised.
It's only one more year, though, isn't it? It's not like a long-term contract or anything like that. So, and in terms of, they're talking about making a major clear out at Bayern Munich, and Eric Dyer has survived that. But there's 11 players to talk about. We're going to start off with the Plymouth boys, starting off with Alfie Devine, who has played 8 games, 6 starts in the Championship with 2 assists, 4 as attacking midfielder, 2 as a left winger. And it's interesting because actually the last 2 games are the 2 games he has come on as a sub, has failed to make the starting lineup for the last 2 games. But I have been hearing a lot of positive reports on Alfie Devine, especially as a left winger, actually. Starting as a front three with Hardy in the middle, Morgan Whittaker on the right, and Alfie Devine as the left to make quite a force as a front three. Yeah,
they seem to be very, very happy with him from what I hear from a few Plymouth fans I see on social media. They seem to be really happy with his level of performance. And it was actually really interesting to hear Alfie Devine speak about in an interview how he feels like he's a more offensive player, more attacking player, and he wants to be playing in those forward positions. And it seems to be working well for him, obviously, getting goal contributions. He seems to be really taking that step up to the Championship really, really well. Obviously, as you say, he hasn't started the last couple of games, but, he's still a teenager at the end of the day, so can't expect him to, be playing every minute of every game. He's always going to have games where he has to, be on the bench and stuff like that. But he seems to have a really good time of it. And it'll be interesting to see what that means for the future of him. Because obviously when we signed him, we all thought, he's a number 8 centre mid, but maybe we misprofiled him. We want to be more of an offensive player. So I'll be interested to see how that turns out for him. Maybe it's similar to Dele, where he came as a kind of midfielder and developed more as an attacking player.
Yeah, I mean, it is worth saying that he has played more games as a number 8 than anywhere else at Plymouth so far. But I think more recently he has been playing on the left wing more. So it will be interesting to see how that develops from now until the end of the season. We'll obviously be keeping a close eye on it and updating you as and when any changes do happen. Or if no changes happen, we'll still be updating you. So don't worry about that. But let's talk about Ashley Phillips, who's also on loan at Plymouth. And this loan spell, this guy, everyone is waxing lyrical about Ashley Phillips and his performances in the Championship. 9 games, 7 starts in the Championship, 2 starts in the FA Cup against Leeds, which went to a replay. Obviously, he got an assist over the course of those 2 games as well. Interesting with Ashley Phillips, as much as people are waxing lyrical, like Alfie Devine, the last 2 games, he has been only on the bench and came on in both those games. But prior to the 2 games, he has been storming that league, and they're saying that he's he looks a lot older on the pitch than maybe what he is showing in his age at 18 years of age. I would say the only criticism that I've heard of Ashley Phillips is maybe his ability on the ball,
which is maybe something needs to greatly improve. He's going to have if we're thinking about using him for next season, obviously that's going to be a big element he has to improve. But as you say, I've seen again Plymouth fans waxing lyrical about him, saying he's one of the best centre backs they've ever had, let alone they've got at the moment. So that's really, really great praise. And again, a player who, it's easy to forget he's only played 8 games in the Championship before this loan move. So the fact that he's taken that step up and performing fairly consistently is really, really impressive. And I'm looking forward to what the future holds for him. Hopefully next season, I don't know if he'll be another loan spell back at Tottenham, but he's still only 18. So he's got a lot of time ahead of him to really develop his game. But the reports we're getting from him is really, really positive. So I'm delighted for him.
Yeah, and maybe the reports that we're hearing in the press, Spurs still linked to a number of centre-backs. So maybe that's an indication of where Spurs' plans are for him. Maybe another year or even 2 years on loan is in the offing for him.
I mean, he could go out on loan for another 3 years and then still be only 21. You know what I mean? And then it's still that is still very young for a centre back. So I wouldn't be surprised if unless there's like a major acceleration, that maybe we don't see him just yet as being ready for the first team.
I mean, especially in the way Ange wants to play, you need to be spot on the ball if you're going to play as a centre back, and I believe that is where he needs most of his development right now. So I do think probably another year or two on loan is probably the best course of action for Ashley Phillips, but that's not to say that his development isn't going well, because it's going unbelievably well for Ashley Phillips. Let's talk about Alejo Veliz. He got a big loan move to Sevilla in the January transfer window, which, you know, it was said during that loan during when the negotiations were happening, that he was going to be seeing a lot of first team football. I think that he went there on the promise of guaranteed minutes or guaranteed starts. I'm not sure how true that was, but at the moment he's only had 3 substitute appearances, 2 4-minute slots, and then 1 15-minute appearance against Real Madrid. I believe that the fans have actually taken to him quite well. He's showing a few kind of good signs in those minutes, but the sample size isn't that big.
Yeah, so I hope, look, you got to remember he only came back from injury, so maybe he's still feeling his way into it. I think El Nesri, plays up front quite a bit for them, and he's still, I think, doing quite well. So it's going to be difficult for Veliz to, hopefully you can partner him at some point. But look, we need obviously a large sample size. Although I did watch a bit of that last 15-minute spell against Madrid, and he did have a few nice touches. Well, obviously, getting on the end of any goal scoring opportunities, but looking forward to seeing him getting a few starts in the near future.
But it looks as though the beginning of his loan spell is very much the kind of similar minutes that he was getting at Tottenham.
So if that's going to be the case, is he better off staying? Maybe. Considering, sometimes low blocks we struggle with, and Richarlison's injured at the moment. But yeah, look, at the end of the day, if he gets some starts for Sevilla, it'll help.
Yeah. Let's talk about Sergio Reguilon now. This is actually a very interesting case. Obviously, he started off at Manchester United, 12 games, 5 sub appearances across the Premier League, Champions League and Carabao Cup. He has since joined Brentford on loan. He's had 7 games, 1 sub appearance and 1 assist in the Premier League so far. And every time I see him play, I'm actually fairly impressed by Reguilon. And I think that was the case when he was at Manchester United as well. He had a few good performances there. But since joining this Brentford side, I think he's even taken it up a notch. And he's looking fairly good. I think you can see the defensive flaws definitely there in his game. But in terms of a team that's probably really suited to the way he wants to play, Brentford's a really good fit.
I think he's been really good at Brentford, but you got to remember the pressure at Brentford's a lot less. Also, the standards are a bit lower, so there's not many eyeballs on him. There's not much focus on him, so maybe he gets away with a bit more, at Brentford than he would at Spurs or Man United. I think Man United are probably regretting letting him go at this point because Luke Shaw's obviously picked up an injury. He's going to be out for quite a bit, and they're not without a left back now. So Reguilon, given how he was playing for them, probably would have better off keeping him. But yeah, for Brentford, I've been watching some of his games, and he's been really getting involved in their forward play. He's getting in the box when they're getting crossed in there. It's a big feature of how Brentford like to play. They like to get those wing backs flying forward, and Reguilon definitely suits him. And I think he was involved in a goal or 2 against Chelsea on the weekend. He really does seem to be his enthusiasm and exuberance it seems to be taken by the Brentford fans as well. And look, he's a good quality player. He's a good quality. I think he's a high-level European, Spanish international. When you put him in a team like Brentford, they're obviously going to appreciate him a lot more than a team like Spurs or Man United, where the standards are a lot higher at our club. So I'm really happy for him. He looks like he might have found a home. Maybe they'll take him permanently at the end of the year. We'll have to wait and see. But I'm delighted that he's finally playing somewhere where he looks like he's playing well quite regularly, so I'm really happy for him.
Do you feel like, obviously in recent weeks, Adoghi has had a bit of an injury. He was on the bench. We played Ben Davis at left back a couple of weeks ago. Do you feel like Reguilon would have played in that game potentially if he stayed?
Well, I'm trying to cast my mind back to pre-season where actually Reguilon played, I think, the first 2 friendlies and actually looked decent in spells, but also did look a little bit lost when he was asked to invert. So maybe if he would have had more of that training, he would have been more used to it and would have been in a better situation. But I can only judge from what I remember. And I do remember he had a lot of struggles inverting. You just got to remember, Reguilon in those tight spaces where he's got to play passes forward. Is that his role? He's not very good. When he's out wide and, has to get to the byline, he's a lot better. But in our role, it's a bit different. So I would like to have seen him. I do give it a go, if he would have stayed at Tottenham, but unfortunately that didn't happen. So who's to say how he would have adapted to that kind of role.
Next up, let's talk about Jed Spence at Genoa. Obviously, he had a poor loan spell at Leeds, got sent back, played 7 games, 2 sub-appearances. Now at Genoa, he started off fairly well, actually. 4 games, 1 sub-appearances, 2 as a left wing-back, 2 as a right wing-back. But unfortunately, it seems to be reverting back to what it was because he has only played 12 minutes in the last 3 games now for Genoa, 2 sub-appearances, and just stayed on the bench in the last game, didn't even get any minutes minutes. So doesn't seem to be all going to plan for Jed again.
Which is disappointing because, as you say, that he was getting some good reports from those early games, but again, seems to be missing out for one reason or another. Hopefully, it's not like an attitude problem. Maybe it's just, I don't know, that some other players may be performing better than him. I don't know what would be worse, but I really hope he can get back in the team. It does seem to be a bit of a theme, though, doesn't it, with his loan spells? Starts off playing a few games, then drops out the team. It happened at Leeds, happened at Rennes as well. So it does seem to be a bit of a pattern. I hope, let's hope that this doesn't kind of represent his time at Genoa, and maybe he can get back in the team, and it's only a brief spell, but considering the patterns we've seen, I wouldn't be surprised if this is what we would see for the rest of the season.
Yeah, very unfortunate, and it's really annoying because he was one that really excited the fans when we signed him, and it's just gone from bad to worse for Jed. But let's talk about Japhet Tanganga now. Obviously, Tottenham academy boy is currently at Millwall. He did start the season at Augsburg in Germany, and it was pretty much a car crash of a loan spell. Didn't see 1 minute for Augsburg. Injuries hampered that. Manager change hampered that. But now he's at Millwall, 7 games, 1 goal. He's getting some really glowing reports at the moment.
I think I read one Millwall fan on Twitter say it was one of the best individual performances they've seen this season from any player, which is a really glowing point. I believe that was against Southampton, with one of the league leaders at the moment. So that's high praise for sure. And you got to remember, for Jaff, I know he's, the Championship would seem like a step down for him because he's been playing, for Spurs for so long. But you got to remember, he's broken to the team in 2019, and he barely had a season where he played maybe over 10 games or so. Like, he really didn't feature that much. So playing regular football will be the first time he's really played regular football, like in his career, like week in, week out. So even though it's a Championship team, it's still really good for his development. Obviously, at this point, given what he's 23 now, 24, I don't think his future will be at Tottenham, but I'm glad he can get some regular football and really show what he can do on a regular basis, because it was just not helping him being in and out of the team, playing very few minutes at Tottenham, and obviously the Augsburg one was an absolute disaster. So I'm really happy, hopefully Millwall, he can show what he's about and maybe get a Premier League move next summer.
I've always said it. We've never helped aid his development. You see all the players that have come up from the academy and young players that have made their way at Spurs, they all had big loan moves where they played week in, week out and got a taste of first team action, where Japhet Tanganga never had that. And I think that really hampered him making his name at Spurs, along with all the injuries that he did get. But let's talk about Joe Rodon up next. He's having a sensational season at Leeds. 36 games, 2 sub appearances across the Championship, Carabao Cup and FA Cup. He's a star performer in that Leeds defence. Seems like one of the first names on the team sheet for them as well. And Leeds are going really well, obviously, in the Championship this season. I think they're second in the league. They seem to be battering teams week in, week out. And they've started to add a few clean sheets to their name as well. So Joe Rodon's very central to that.
Yeah, and I reckon if Leeds get promoted, I think he's going to want to stay there and want to finally be playing regular football in the Premier League. I don't even think it was that bad for Tottenham when he played. He just wasn't, as good as we thought he could be. Or like, I thought on the ball he had his struggles, but I thought defensively he was a pretty good defender. Apparently he has improved that. He seems to be a lot more confident on the ball for Leeds. So maybe playing in the Championship has helped him in that. So be interesting to see what does happen with him in the summer, whether he signs for Leeds Premier League or maybe another Premier League team might come in for him if he keeps up this kind of form. But again, another player playing really, really well, and another player again whose development wasn't helped at Spurs. So I'm happy he's getting that time, and I'm pretty sure whether it be at Leeds or another club, he'll be in the Premier League next season.
Know him, do you?
That's just what I'm hearing.
Tanguy Ndombele at Galatasaray. It was rumoured that his loan spell was going to get cut short in January. Didn't happen. He's played 24 games, 18 sub appearances at that. 1 assist across the League Cup, Champions League and Europa League.
But what an assist.
3 90 minutes completed across his whole loan spell. Which is 3 more than I expected, to be fair.
I thought you were about to say across his whole career, but no, just a loan spell. I mean, again, it was actually a weird one where when he first came in, like, he wasn't getting a game now, and more recently seems to be getting more game time. But again, it seems like the management aren't happy with him. There's rumours about him not eating well, and all different kind of rumours coming out about him.
Burgers eaten, apparently.
Apparently, he sneaks food into his hotel room. There's rumours about, look, it's not me saying it. I've just heard these. This is what the Turkish reports are saying. So I don't know what to say about Ndombele. He definitely ain't coming back to Tottenham next season. We know that for sure, and I don't think his loan spell has helped him about his future career.
Troy Parrott having an interesting loan spell at Excelsior out in the Eredivisie. 24 games played, 8 as a sub, 7 goals and 3 assists for Troy Parrott this season, which probably his best season in his career so far, to be honest. And I'm not sure if Spurs are probably going to take the option to extend his contract or to have him part of the squad, but he's definitely adding some value to himself.
And what's interesting, there's now rumours after this kind of spell that a PSV might be interested. I think Ajax as well registered some interest. So maybe he can get a decent move to the Eredivisie. And we've seen what that's done for a few players. Look at Madueke. You look at Marcus Edwards. Was that Eredivisie?
He was at Excelsior,
Excelsior as well. And that's really helped them. So I think he'll look at that and think, I might... Look, if Tottenham don't want me, if I can go to a big club in Holland, that'll really give me a platform. I could be playing European football potentially, be in title races and stuff like that. And if I'm doing well on that platform, then I'll get really serious interest from other top clubs around Europe. So I think this has really helped him, considering it's top level football in Holland. It's probably the highest level he's played at, and the fact that he's doing really, really well, that's really impressive. So really happy for him. And look, if he continues to kill it, I'll be interested to see if Tottenham do just give him a second look in pre-season next year if he continues to score goals. My hunch is we'll probably look to sell him and look to capitalise on some good form for him in Holland. But either way, it's really, really beneficial that he's having a good loan spell.
Yeah, maybe it could be like a buyback clause situation, sell him with a buyback clause. But the last two that we're going to talk about is youth academy products. Josh Keeley, goalkeeper, is at Barnet. 10 games in the non-league with Barnet, high-flying Barnet, 1 clean sheet in there. But apparently he is getting some really good reviews as well. Josh Keeley, young goalkeeper. He's played every single minute since joining them. So fairly impressive.
Yeah, and I think there was like a clip going around of him making a really good double save for Barnet as well. And what was interesting, apparently Barnet had a good keeper before he came and he displaced him quite quickly, which is really, really impressive. So look, he's still very young for a goalkeeper, but hopefully down the line he can come and join the first team at some point.
And last but not least, we've got Matthew Craig, Spurs Academy product, who's on loan at League Two Doncaster. He's played 7 games in League Two, 1 goal, 1 assist as a defensive midfielder. But the reports I'm hearing is that it's a bit up and down. It has only been 7 games, but Ali Gold did a kind of loan watch or loan report a couple of weeks ago, and they said like the jury is definitely out on him.
Which is not great to hear, but he's still fair. He's fairly, what is he, 20? He's in the 20s now, isn't he, Matthew
Yeah, I think he's about 20.
Did he play? Is he one of the players who played against Leeds on the last day of the season?
Yeah, he did.
Last season. Obviously he was highly rated at that point. So let's hope he can continue to develop. But as you say, it's only been 7 games. Well, look, 1 goal, 1 assist for a centre mid isn't too bad, but it's early days. Let's hope for some improvement.
Absolutely. But that is your loan report as of yet. We'll bring you another one in a month or two's time to let you know how they are getting on once again. But let me know your thoughts about all the current loan players out on their respective loans in the comment section below. Like, subscribe and comment. And as always,
come on you Spurs.